they will provide you literally every facility that you can ask for.
I look at it as a spectrum from utility to vanity.
Miles are like dollars. Interest on a credit card, as I think you know, is going to be atrociously high. It can go up to 42% per annum. Now, lounge access has been a big attraction for people in India to get credit cards, okay? But a lot of times people don't realize they have to pay for that lounge. What they think is a free meal is actually not a free meal.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mind Your Karza with One Finance, a show where we help you understand and improve your relationship with debt products such as loans, credit cards and more. On today's episode, we continue our journey into credit cards and discuss the specific features of credit cards, some of which might be of surprise to you. My guest, Ajay Awtaney, founder and editor of Live from a Lounge, an authority on travel, miles, loyalty credit cards and much more. Hey Ajay, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey Anupam, thank you for having me over.
Yeah, good to see you. So let's start with your journey and credit cards. How did it start? Your first card experience and stuff like that.
So, funnily enough, my first card came to me when I was, I think, still a student. And this was in 2002. One of the MNC banks in India used to kind of look at the customer profile they have, savings bank account wise. And this was before CIBIL. So they would just send you a card in the mail. And that was my first credit card. In fact, I was just doing some spring cleaning recently and I realized that I still had that card somewhere lying amongst my stuff. So that card from that bank was the first credit card I had, and now 22 years later, the experience has largely been positive and the journey is still going strong. So what happened then was, back in the day, obviously not too many merchants were used to credit, not too many banks were involved in credit. So it was more of a showpiece, I think, for the first few years. But I think over the past maybe let's say a decade or 15 years or so, I think more people have gotten aware about credit cards and the convenience they bring more than the capability to take an unsecured loan in your name. And on the back of that, I think merchants are happy to accept credit cards, and so are customers obviously want them because for them it's also, I think, sometimes about getting a good discount from the marketing spends of the bank, and at other times it is just about a status symbol.
It's interesting. I mean, it's been a long while since you've been using one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you would have noticed that things have changed in the time that you've been using. Like, as of now, I think I look at it as a spectrum from utility to vanity, right? If you can just walk our viewers through the range of credit cards that there are out there, it's quite a bit, from lifetime free to exclusives.
Yeah.
Just walk us through that.
I think, there are many different ways of slicing and dicing it. But I think there are basically 3 or 4 pockets that, banks are looking at in terms of customers for their credit cards. Okay, so the first one is the entry-level customer. You just started working, or you've just gotten out of business school or what have you, and you don't have so much of a credit history to speak of. You don't have a high repayment capability. You're not in that 1 crore, 5 crore bracket or whatever the bank's top-end customers are. So the bank will give you what is called an entry-level credit card. Now, this could be, many banks have now made it a marketing strategy to make their cards lifetime free. Other guys make their cards lifetime free from time to time because they want to bump up their market share in the product space. So that is the entry-level credit card. Now, these are going to be very basic cards. They will not earn you a lifestyle spend, but these are the ones the banks find it very easy to kind of, issue to every salary bank account holder, and there's hardly any product cost for them. So, in fact, so that's the entry-level card. From there is this slightly higher end card, which would be more like what I tend to call a mid-tier lifestyle card. And these cards are basically kind of helping people kind of earn some sort of rewards, which they can basically start using for things. They give you some discounts on dining out, probably throw in some lounge access at the airport or at the railway stations now, and they will give you certain other benefits. So these are the entry level or the mid level lifestyle cards.
Sure.
Then on top of that, then that same spectrum keeps growing, and at the top end is all these what I tend to call them is the lifestyle cards. These are for people who are high-end consumers or HNIs basically. They are literally spending day in day out on travel, on entertainment, and these are the cards that are basically targeted towards that segment of the market. Now, one more sect which runs parallelly is travel rewards cards.
Sure.
A lot of banks and a lot of travel companies, it started with Jet Airways, then it went to Air India. Vistara is the current favorite out there in the market. But what happens is a bank and a airline or a hotel company join up together to put both the brands on the same card. And what happens in this case is that you get specific perks at that entity's end when you pay with that card.
Okay.
Yeah. And the rewards you earn are basically only going to be usable at that hotel chain or at that airline.
Yeah, I want to talk about the top end ones out here because the way at one point of time used to be, and primarily now also, is you apply for a credit card and you get it or you don't get it. Now there are exclusive buy invite only credit cards, like you have houses, I guess,
Yeah.
where even to enter into a deal you have to call, you have to request, and if you're worthy of it or whatever, then you can take the transaction further. Credit cards also have now become exclusive. I think globally the most exclusive card is what, the Amex Black probably.
Yeah.
And in India also now they've created these tiers of buy invite only. What do you think about them? And again, for the audience that they're targeted at, are they a good deal? Any thoughts?
I think these cards are a bit of like the Amex Black that you talked about. It's a lot of snob value, but it is also a lot of utility. So people who really know how to juice these cards out properly, they will provide you literally every facility that you can ask for, and they will have access to perks and benefits that basically suit your lifestyle. You could be standing outside a hard-to-get restaurant in London, and they could open the doors for you by making a call and saying, I have a customer outside, please get him a table. So, those cards, I feel, some of them are really, really good. Others are just trying to, ride the wave by just calling them invite only, but they don't really have anything to offer. But I think American Express, Citi, HDFC, these are some of the banks who really do a good job with their invite-only cards.
One of the things that people take some time in figuring out once they start using credit card is there's a lot of things that you can do, smart ways to use them, probably hacks and tips. For me, for example, the one thing where it was very useful for me was at a hospital where I was suddenly required to make a fairly large deposit for someone that I was getting in. So anything else that comes to mind for you that you think people don't know or could be useful to them?
I think from what I look around and I people watch, I think a lot of people are tied to the hip to the credit card that they got as a part of their salary account offer or something like that. A lot of people around us are not really putting in any effort or thought into what credit card could really give them the best benefits, really. I mean, if you could actually, for example, finance an air ticket or a hotel stay on the back of your credit card spends, I don't know why would you want to be swiping a card that really has no value of the rewards that you get. So that's number one. Second thing, I think, and this is after talking to so many people over years, a lot of Indian customers are very hesitant paying an annual fee for their credit card. as Indians, we are value seekers, right? Now, they always look at, why should I pay a fee for this credit card? Because at the end of the day, what I want to do is swipe it and hopefully pay off the debt at the end of the month in one consolidated number. So I think, they miss out the whole perspective as a consequence of that, because if you're getting a better credit card, which is maybe charging you 5,000 rupee annual fee, and you could, like I said earlier, finance an airline ticket or take your kids for a vacation, why would you not want to have it? Because if you're getting something for 40,000 rupees for just the princely sum of 5,000 rupees, it's a great deal as well. Yeah. But nobody taught them that, so they don't seek value as, they just want to cut on the cash expense.
Sure.
Yeah, beyond that, I think a lot of people look at credit with suspicion in the first place, which I think, it's a good thing to look at it with some amount of suspicion. But at the end of the day, you got to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
And if once you wrap your head around it and you put some discipline in your spending, you will be able to get some very good benefits out of it. Like you yourself said, it's useful to pony up a big amount of money. One of the other things people, I think, don't know is that your credit networks, like the Visa and the MasterCards, they offer you purchase protection. For example, if there is a faulty gadget that you were sold by somebody on the internet and now they're refusing to replace it, you just call and lodge a dispute, and you will most probably get your money back. In the sense that, it could be 2,000 rupees, it could be 20,000 rupees, you will get it back.
Okay.
But when you do that with a debit card or when you do that with cash, your money is never going to come back to you.
Yeah. I want to move to the rewards part now, right? I mean, there are two aspects of them which are quite popular, hotels and miles. I want to start with miles because that's one of the things that you enjoy yourself. So miles, both, if you can talk to us about accumulating them, as in how to get them in a smarter way, and then encashing them or spending them. Like you said, if you can get a ticket, then that's a pretty good use of a credit card.
So I think, there are two kind of reward systems at work with credit cards in India. One is the kind where you're using all these co-brand cards like a Club Vistara card or a Air India Flying Returns card and so on. In these cases, the only points you will earn are Club Vistara points or Flying Return points and so on. You will not earn what is a generic currency. For a lot of other cards, the bank, like let's take the example, all the major banks have these lifestyle cards,
Sure.
They will all have cards which have their own, as I like to call it, points currency. Now you can use these points currency for a cash rebate, like in the case of American Express at 25 paise, in the case of Axis Bank 20 paise and what have you. Different banks have different rates that they've set for that. Or you can actually transfer these points into a lot of airline or hotel loyalty programs, and then that's where you can start making a lot of, how do you want to call it? You can use it for business trips or vacations. There's no right or wrong there, and you can mint a lot of points, which you can then take to, let's say, Club Vistara or an international airlines loyalty program, and then redeem them for free tickets.
Okay.
So that's the two kind of systems that exist. Now, personally, I always tell people, try and wrap your head around the one that is the generic currency earning one. Like American Express will have the membership rewards program. HDFC Bank has the, what do you call, reward points, they just call them. And Axis will call them edge rewards and what have you. Everyone has a different name assigned to them. But these are the points that you can actually say, oh, let me give you, let's say, 1,000 of my HDFC reward points, and can you exchange them for, let's say, 500 United Airline miles?
Sure.
So those are the best kind of rewards.
Yeah.
Okay, and these rewards you can accumulate. There's no like limit to how much you can earn. Really, it really depends on how much you're spending on the card, and then you can go on and exchange them for the miles.
And in some cases, do they give you 1:1 exchange also for the higher end cards? Is that possible?
So yes, see, so the one thing to understand is that miles are like money. I think, let me rephrase that. Miles are like dollars. You have Singapore dollar, you have American dollar, you have Hong Kong dollar, Australian dollar. There are tons of different kind of dollars out there, right? And each one has a different value attached to it. So I think one of the most common mistake people make is to think that they all have the same value. One American dollar will buy you a cheeseburger in the US, which might cost you 5 HK dollars, right? Similarly, one air mile of one airline is not the same as one airline. So, and that's the same for the money part of it. So, depending on what they can buy with that,
Sure.
the value is different.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's where it becomes a little complicated, because you need to spend some time studying all these loyalty programs to see what really fits you or your requirements, and then kind of go on and redeem them.
That's really more important, isn't it? I mean, people just go in for the vanity value of the credit card before figuring out whether this is actually relevant for me or not. For someone who does not travel abroad so much, maybe a higher end. I mean, what do you think about that?
See, at the end of the day, you will get something that is yours to keep, right?
Yeah.
So you can choose to use your points tomorrow, or you can choose to accumulate enough to have like a trip maybe in 3 years' time. And so it's not about the vanity value, honestly. I think there are a lot of people take credit cards from the perspective of how much can they sweat them out, in the sense of how much rewards can they get out of them. Otherwise, they're usually taking that, like I told you in the beginning, the lifetime free credit card that their bank offered them, which they really have not even looked at the rewards program ever.
Hotels?
I think hotels, again, there are some great, so every major hotel chain, like the Marriotts and the Hyatts of the world, they all have their own loyalty programs. Now, none of these guys till last year had actually managed to make a co-brand card in the market. Now, Marriott has one, but so what you can do is when you're swiping the card, you're basically earning Marriott Bonvoy points, which you can then go on and redeem for free stays. Beyond that, there are so many hospitality programs which are partners with all these generic credit card points, and then you can exchange your card points to take them into the hotel program and redeem it for a free stay again.
Yeah. Share some of your experiences, you and Shipra, your wife. You guys have done this a lot. How do you guys plan, say, an entire trip in terms of spending, earning the points, and then going miles and hotel stays? Just some examples for our viewers to understand.
So, in terms of spending, what we do is what we usually do. We're not trying to maximize something. So it's not that if I have to go and buy vegetables, let's say for 400 rupees, I'm going to buy 1,000 rupees worth of vegetables. So we try and not do this. We don't try and go over the top with our spending. Whatever we're spending is in the normal course of things. The thing is, I started about 22 years back, and that means the distance I covered in this journey is much further than some other people who might start now or have started maybe in 2 years or 3 years back. So, it takes time to build your bank of miles, and I always look at miles as another form of money.
Because the currency, yeah.
It's a currency. It can't buy you a toaster. You can't go into an electronic shop and pay for your toaster with your miles. But you can definitely pay for travel. You can pay for experiences with your miles. So coming to what we've done, I think we've done a lot of things over the years. We try and make one trip a year. Everyone takes a break, and what we try and do is We pick a spot, then we see what's the good time to go there, and then we start looking for if any airline that we want to fly on has a redemption seat on that or not. So the thing here is that every airline will only have limited inventory for giving you a what you call it, a redemption ticket or a free ticket or whatever you want to call it. And so you have to be flexible. It's not that if you said, I want to travel on 13th of June, then that's the only day. If there's no availability, you either pay cash or you say, you're looking at 12th or 11th of June and saying, okay, I see tickets on this day, and then hence I'll plan accordingly. So you pick a ticket, and then, there are sometimes all these lovely hotels that we want to stay at. So we try and see if there's availability there in terms of a redemption stay.
Yeah.
If it's there, great. Otherwise, pay cash.
I want to wrap this up with mistakes. I mean, what are the common mistakes that you see people making? What do you advise them, or what are the ways to avoid them? So mistakes, how to avoid them?
I think one of the most common mistakes I hear and is when people mistake the minimum amount due as the full payment that they have to make for their credit
People
cards.
do that, is it?
I think a lot of banks, I think the term for that is a dark pattern, right? So when the bank sends you an SMS, they will just send you, please at least pay a minimum amount of whatever, 5,000, 3,000, 8,000, whatever the amount is. And back in the day, I've met people, including friends of my own, who just would pay the minimum amount, thinking they had closed the full dues to the bank. And beyond that, then you end up in that phase where you're rotating your money, rotating credit, and hence you're paying an interest on this. So interest on a credit card, as I think is going to be atrociously high. It can go up to 42% per annum. That's what I've seen. Might be even higher now. So you want to stay clear of that trap. If you really want to enjoy the perks a credit card offers, you really want to be studying your statement every month and making sure that you're paying your full amount in due amount in full. And of course, sometimes banks tend to kind of sneak in things that you haven't noticed. If you think it's a correct charge, great. If you think it's a wrong charge, just kind of ask them to remove it. So that's one, I think, and because we're on the topic of travel, one of the other mistakes I think a lot of people make, you would notice banks send you this thing called the priority pass with your credit
lounge
card,
access,
right? For lounge access. Now, lounge access has been a big attraction for people in India to get credit cards, okay? But a lot of times people don't realize they have to pay for that lounge, okay? With that priority pass at least. So what they would do is they would take that priority pass and swipe it in Delhi, Bombay, wherever. The amount does not turn up on the card immediately. It turns up 3 months later.
Oh.
And then they'll be like, what is this 1,800 rupees or 2,000 rupees? So what they think is a free meal is actually not a free meal. It's just that it's come 3 months later on your card and you actually paid maybe much more for it than that burger or samosa that you would have otherwise had at the airport. So you got to be very you got to understand the features of your credit card before you start swiping it left, right, and center. I think.
Read what's called the MITC, the most important terms and conditions.
Yeah, I think they try and make it a little as stiff and complicated as possible, but at least have a look at the website and see what are the features that they've advertised and how do they want you to usually, in a generic sense, interpret it.
Always, folks, always pay your entire credit card due on time, if not before time, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. And that is it for today's episode. My guest, Ajay Awtaney, founder and editor of Live from a Lounge. Ajay, thank you so much for doing this for our viewers.
Pleasures.